Hi friends, today I want to talk to you about green manure. So we're going to talk about 5 ways that you can increase your garden productivity by using green manure or green composting. So follow me along and I'll show you some things in the garden and ways that maybe you can fertilize your soil without using fertilizer. Talk to you soon. This is Lucy. She's my little helper in the garden. She pretty much just follows me wherever I go throughout the yard. She's a really good little girl. Come here. She's kind of scared of the camera, but she'll be okay. Well, here we are in the garden, and I just want to talk to you a little bit about the green manure. And as you can see, I'm starting to turn it over in one of my garden beds. This bed has about half of it. I've already done the green manure. The other half I just started working on. But everything that I've read said that you really shouldn't rototill this into the soil. It does break it down, but you then are affecting the beneficial insects like worms and things like that. So I decided to turn it over in my soil and then add a layer of steer manure. So I live in zone 9B, and I'm starting to get ready for my garden planting out in about 6 weeks. So I'm taking this time over the next 6 weeks to turn over my green manure, add my steer manure. I'm going to put some pine shavings on top of everything, and then I'm just going to really let the soil digest everything and add all these nutrients into it, and I think it's just going to be a great experience. So these are the 5 reasons that you might want to consider adding green manure to your soil. The first is you save a lot of money by taking seed and putting it throughout your garden in the form of manure. Now that could be using clover. I actually chose a red clover because it has such a high nitrogen content. But you can use clover or alfalfa, all kinds of different things. And they all have different things that they put into the soil. But for my purposes, I thought that the clover would be really good. And I think I bought a nice big bag of it. I only used half of it on all 8 of my beds. I had tons of clover come up, and I have another whole half a bag left. I think I bought a pound of it, and it was under $10, and really good investment. I'm hoping that I can use the seeds again next year if this works out. So anyway, I'm turning it over about a week to 2 weeks ago. I actually went through, because this was about 1.5 feet high and was starting to get seed heads on it. I took my scissors and I cut it down to the soil, and I laid the top of the growing manure on top of the rooted plants that were still in the ground. And that's kind of been composting. Now I'm going through, turning it over again, and getting ready for the next step. So the second reason you should consider using green manure is that it puts nutrition and nutrients back in the soil. And that's really important. A lot of times when you're using big box store items, yes, I think a lot of the fertilizers are really good, but I think there's something extra special about putting organic matter back in your soil. And then number 3, the third reason that I would consider using it is weed suppression. So I was just shocked. Throughout the winter, I did grow some various things. I've got some beets growing and some cauliflower, a lot of different kinds of lettuce. I had very few weeds. The green manure pretty much chokes the weeds out. I had a few here and there, but nothing really, to speak of. And then the 4th reason is to prevent erosion. So typically, when you go through a season, you're going to be pulling out weeds, pulling out old plants. Even if you shake the soil off, when you throw the weeds away and different things, you're still going to have different items that are going to be, you know, pulling dirt and soil and nutrients out of your garden beds or out of your ground. So when you do the green manure, you're not adding a bag of, you know, fertilizer or whatever onto your soil. You're actually taking the products and you're adding, like in my case, I added in some areas 3-4 inches of green matter into the soil. Now this is going to break down over time, but it is adding more, more greenery into the soil. Then by adding in the steer manure or chicken manure and topping it off with whatever type of mulch products you want to use, you could really add another 6 inches to your soil. And it's a great way to prevent erosion. And then lastly, I kind of touched on it a little earlier, but the best thing I think about the green manure is that it fixes nitrogen back into the soil. And so many plants need that. With photosynthesis and everything going on, nitrogen is just really an important thing to have in your garden. So I wish I had taken some other photos of some other plants that I have growing, but I have some green kale in my garden that is like an olive green. It's so dark green, and I just think this is going to be a great garden this year. I haven't noticed any strange insects on it. I have noticed some extra butterflies and things like that because I've started developing heads on the clover. But I think as you start, using these types of organic products, you're going to start seeing a real difference in things growing in your garden. So that's it for today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.